Welcome to the video on SARE Notes page. Please make sure you have your SARE Notes open in Notability and that you have opened Schoology in a web browser such as Chrome or Explorer so you're able to simultaneously watch this video and take your notes. For the purpose of this notes page, I'm going to type everything in all caps. You do not have to. Now it's time to start conjugating verbs. This should not be a new word to you. You've heard it as we've talked about the verbs in our short stories. When you conjugate a verb, you are actually plugging it in. Your conjugated verb must agree with the subject of your sentence. That includes your subject if it's people or your subject if it's a subject pronoun. But before we can really get into conjugating verbs, we need to review our Spanish subject pronouns. Please take a moment to pause the video and see if you can fill out this chart without my help. Our first person singular subject pronoun, meaning I, is yo. Our second person singular subject pronoun, meaning you, informally, is tu. Don't forget the accent mark above the U on tu. Our third person singular, the he, she, it, and you formal box, also called the shy box, is el means he, ella means she, usted means you formal, and then remember that there's no subject pronoun for it. Moving over to our plural side, our first person plural box, meaning we, is nosotros for a group of males or a mixed group, and nosotras for a group of females. If we're taking a trip to Spain, we're in our second person plural box. We have vosotros, meaning you all, for a mixed group or a group of males, and we have vosotras, meaning you all, for a group of females. Once again, that's used in Spain. Moving down to our third person plural box, we have the they and the you all everywhere. Ellos means they for a mixed group or a group of males. Ellas means they for a group of females. And ustedes means you all, abbreviated capital UDS, and this is when you're saying you all and can be used everywhere. When you conjugate a verb in Spanish, you must start with the verb in the infinitive form or the unconjugated form. We've talked about this a little bit with the short stories that we've done. Verbs in Spanish will end in one of three ways. We have AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. This means that the last two letters of verbs in Spanish are always going to be the letters AR, ER, or IR. The first verb we are going to learn in Spanish is the verb ser. Ser is an ER verb because in the infinitive form, the last two letters are ER. Ser means to be. There's an interesting thing about infinitives. When you translate or interpret an infinitive into English, the first word will always be to. The reason we have to plug it in or conjugate it is so that we're not saying sentences like I to be tall. You want to say I am tall. So in English, am is a conjugated form. In Spanish, you would conjugate it or plug it in, which we're going to learn here in just a minute. For your information, there are two verbs in Spanish that mean to be. The other verb is estar. We're not going to worry about estar today other than to know it exists. The way that we can tell the difference if a sentence needs to use ser or estar is based on the situation. We're going to take a look at three examples when ser is used. Ser is used in Spanish when you are telling time. Ser is also used when talking about a permanent characteristic. You filled out your adjective vocabulary list. Many of the adjectives there are permanent. Permanent is something like height, hair color, eye color, weight, things like that. If you have to make up a story so that something is not permanent, then by default use ser. If you wanted to say, for example, she is tall, But then you thought, for example, she could jump into a wood chipper and cut off her legs and suddenly she would become short. You are making up a story. So height is a permanent situation. Hair color is something that, yes, you can change it, but it doesn't change on a daily basis for most people. That's why it's a permanent situation. Eye color, yes, you can go out and buy colored contacts, but that's not something that most people do, and people don't do that on a daily basis. So once again, eye color is a permanent situation. Where from is the third situation where you're going to use ser. Where from is literally where you were born. It's not where you live now, it's not where you are now, but it's where you are from. For example, I'm from Columbus, Nebraska. We will look at examples using the conjugation of ser for all of these. Now, let's learn how to conjugate ser. You will notice how the conjugations are going to match up with the subject pronouns that we have already learned. So we have our first person singular subject pronoun. Our first person singular conjugation of ser is soy. So when you put those together, our subject pronoun yo, combined with ser, the conjugated form soy, you have yo soy. Yo soy means I am. If we move down to a second person singular box, we have tu, meaning you, which we've already learned, combined with eres. You have tu eres, you are. Then we go to our shy box, our él, ella, and usted. We have él, es, he is, ella, es, she is, and usted, es, he is. Remember, we don't have a subject pronoun it, so if you just say es, you are saying it is. Now let's hop over to our plural side. We have nosotros and nosotras, which we remember as we. So if we have nosotros, somos, we have we are, that's masculine or a mixed group. And if we have nosotras, somos, we have we are, and that's feminine. We have vosotros and vosotras. Vosotros sois is you all are, and that's in Spain, and that's for a mixed group or for a group of males. Or vosotras sois, for you all are in Spain for a group of females. Let's hop down to our third person plural box. Ellos son means they are. Ellas son means they are, feminine. And ustedes son means you all are, and that's the one that can be used everywhere. Feel free to pause this video at any time to be able to get caught up on your notes. We've gone over what ser means in English. Take a moment and see if on the left side you can conjugate ser and combine it with a subject pronoun and then provide the English translation. Pause the video, give it a shot. Here we have all of the conjugations of ser combined with their English translations in one chart for you to look at. Please pause the video to make sure that what you have on your notes agrees with what I have. A few final thoughts. Ser works great with adjectives, such as the ones on your vocabulary list. However, there are a few things you must remember. Hopefully this is review. In Spanish, sentences must agree in both number and gender. So if a sentence is feminine, chances are it ends in an A. And if a sentence is masculine, chances are it ends in an O. And this would be the adjective ending in an A or the adjective ending in an O. Any other letter means that the word is neutral. If you are using a first-person plural, second-person plural, or third-person plural subject pronoun and verb, your adjective must be plural. We're going to have an opportunity to practice this throughout the unit on ser. Thanks for watching. Hopefully at this point you remember your subject pronouns, you are able to conjugate the verb ser in Spanish, and you know what ser translates to in each of the 6 boxes.